Namaste. I'm Dr. Robert. And today on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert, my subject is the use of metals and minerals in Ayurveda. Let me first say that although in South India some metals and some minerals are employed, they're much more commonly employed in North India, number one. And this is particularly the case because in North India, there has been a greater degree of implementation of the results, or as my mentor would say, the byproducts of tantric alchemy in the Ayurvedic system of medicine. If you are interested in reading about tantric alchemy, I would encourage you to read a book called The Alchemical Body by David Gordon White. It's a fascinating book. It's also very thick, 600-ish pages, but it talks about how, particularly in the medieval world, yogis who were experimenting with all kinds of things, but especially alchemy, and doctors were working together, and how really it's going to be easier to understand alchemy if you also understand what kind of yogic practices were going along with them. So in alchemy, and I'm speaking from the perspective of my mentor, Vimalananda, who is quite an expert at tantric alchemy. His philosophy was minerals are very useful as medicines because they will last much longer than herbs can. In fact, the older the mineral becomes, or the metal becomes, once it's been prepared, the better it becomes. Because they're very small in quantity. They don't need special methods of preserving them or storing them. And because, according to him, with appropriate use of herbs, you may be able to live 400 or 500 years. But if you know how to use metals properly, you can live indefinitely, possibly thousands of years. But practically speaking, for people like you and me, what we use metals for is in Ayurveda is that they have the potential to exert a very powerful effect on the system. Gold and silver are generally employed in their atomic form, but in Ayurveda, we generally use a combination of pounding them to turn them into leaf, silver leaf and gold leaf. Gold leaf, if it's been really well pounded, is only sometimes 3 or 4 atoms thick. And then if you take that gold leaf and you mix it with a bunch of herbs and you incinerate it several times, you will encourage that to break down. This was the method that they employed back then to try to generate monoatomic gold and monoatomic silver. Certain other minerals and metals, particularly copper and iron, are employed in the form of oxides. And they are also incinerated to turn them into oxides. Other, and particularly the heavy metals, other metals are turned into sulfides. This is particularly arsenic, lead, and mercury. Mercury is the most important of all the metallic medicines. And sulfides are employed because the sulfur atom tenaciously holds on to the heavy metal atom. And if it has been accurately prepared and well purified, then what will happen is these compounds will circulate around in your body. And as with the noble metals, gold and silver, they will exert positive effects without actually chemically interacting with your body. In the case of metallic medicines, and in particular, the use of any kind of heavy metals, absolutely make sure that you know that the company that is preparing them properly, because you can get into trouble, and I know people who have got into trouble by employing heavy metal medicines in Ayurveda that were not properly prepared. One other substance that I should mention is mica, which is actually a name for a group of minerals. Mica is regarded as being a very fine kind of general tonic, and it's noteworthy because it is optimally prepared when it has been incinerated 1,000 times. So in fact, yogis would sometimes make creating 1,000 times incinerated mica a sadhana for themselves, and it might take them 7, 8, 10 years or more to generate a really excellent variety of mica, which would be exceptionally excellent because the yogi would have been reciting mantras all during the time that it was being prepared. This is Dr. Robert saluting the use of metals in Ayurveda. Go to the description below if you'd like to learn more about studying with me online, and if you would like a free ebook on analyzing karma, fate, or free will.